All right, so I'm Marty Sakata. Thanks so much for making it. This is day 2 of our, you can move a little bit closer, of our family office forum. And I get a quick background. So I had a career in banking before I started this group. I worked with like Goldman Sachs, UBS, Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan Chase. And so I was working in Switzerland. There was a big financial meltdown, as there has been this weekend. And long-term capital management, I came back. I worked at Swiss Bank. UBS was going under, and Swiss Bank had to rescue them. And again, that was like the mouse eating the elephant, right? Because UBS was this huge company, and Swiss Bank was a small company. But ended up acquiring them. And then I started a group of Wharton guys investing directly in private equity. It morphed into this family office group. So 400 events later and 201 dinner parties later, we're still doing these events on a monthly basis and covering a variety of topics. At this point, we've been doing it so many years that, I mean, everything kind of, recycles. So, the old saying is that history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. And it's the same thing in the fund business side. Actually, John Johnson's here. He used to work at Pantera. And I was having a conversation with him yesterday. I said, I got a phone call from a really smart guy, Harvard grad, and he says, I'm running a crypto fund. I said, this sounds fantastic. Said, yeah, I've been testing it out with my own, $2 million of my own money. And so I said, so, what's the lockup? He says, well, it's 3 years. I was like, wow, that's a long lockup. I said, what's the fee structure? Oh, it's like a 3 and 30 fund. I said, God, do people do that anymore? So, I mean, things just come around and you've heard it before. So you got to say what's innovative about what somebody's doing. So, but anyway, we're really happy to be here at Wilson Sonsini, and we've got Rob Suffoletta here, and he's going to tell us all about Wilson Sonsini, what he does, their practice, the Austin office, the wider office, and I think later Rob is going to opine about Silicon Valley Bank and all things venture capital.
Now, attorneys don't like the word opine.
The meter's running.
So thanks a lot, Marty. We're happy to host everybody who's here in person and on the webcast. Again, my name is Rob Suffoletta. I'm a corporate securities partner at Wilson Sonsini. I've been at the firm over 25 years. Started my career out in Silicon Valley in the 1990s, and been down in Austin now for about 20 years. Basically, our firm, we're just over 1,000 lawyers, mostly in the U.S. We do have a few offices in China and in Europe. But basically, the focus of the firm is technology and emerging growth companies, including life sciences companies. So it's a relatively broad area, but again, our focus is really kind of on technology, being founded in Silicon Valley. But we include emerging growth, which could be really any types of companies that are growing, raising money, et cetera. So we've got about 35 attorneys here in Austin. We've been in the Austin market for over 20 years. And we're really doing the same sort of practice in Austin that we're doing kind of firm-wide, which again is this focus on technology, life sciences, emerging companies. Our practice in Austin, about 2/3 of the attorneys do what I do, corporate and securities. So I do everything from startup companies. Most of my companies are private companies that are financed and growing. So I have a lot of experience in VC, private equity financings, corporate governance, and mergers and acquisitions. I've also done quite a few public offerings over the years and represent public companies. Other practice areas we have in the Austin office are on the IP side. We have a group called Technology Transactions, which does all sorts of licensing agreements, joint venture development agreements, really any type of commercial agreements. We have employment practice here. So again, executive contracts, offer letters, non-competes, any sorts of issues around employment. And then we have a privacy practice here. The privacy practice is really kind of national. So we advise all types of companies, whether it's a small private company or a large public company, on privacy matters. And then more broadly, we do work very closely with our other offices. So there's other areas like litigation, antitrust, tax, where we serve our clients here and throughout the the country and the world by working with our other offices. So again, pleased to host you all today. As Marty mentioned, I'll be talking in a couple hours about kind of outlook on venture capital and financing, what we're seeing. in 2022 compared to 21, what we're seeing so far this year. And I know you had some discussion yesterday about Silicon Valley Bank, but we're having ongoing meetings on that. As recently as last night. So I'll say a few words about what we're seeing, with our client base. We obviously have hundreds of clients that have relationships with Silicon Valley Bank. So we really have a good sense of what's going on or what's not going on. And we'll talk a little bit about that this afternoon. So anyway, again, welcome. And I'll look forward to speaking to you again in a couple hours.
So again, fascinating times, and I just wanted to remark. I had a couple of remarks on Silicon Valley Bank, which are, the news has been a flutter. Ken Griffin said that he thinks that it's kind of opening up a slippery slope, bailing them out at a time when job market is at 100 at full employment, right? So he was against the I'm going to call it a bailout of the depositors. And I think it's pretty interesting. They call it moral hazard, et cetera. What's interesting, I think, is that everyone's like saying, well, some private equity firms they're going to swoop in, buy up the loan portfolio, but I don't think anybody can do what Silicon Valley Bank does in the venture debt space unless they're a bank, right? They made their money on the back end through deposits in private banking, et cetera. So they're able to. I mean, I don't know what the market competitiveness of the rates are. I'm sure it's very competitive because they got your deposits, right? So it's a fantastic business model, but unfortunately, it's not going to be sustained probably in the banking business anymore. So it's fascinating times. So our group looks a lot at private equity. We look at a lot of mergers and acquisitions. We had a discussion about that yesterday, and we're going to talk about private equity